Hi everyone, I'm Chloe and welcome back to the Mentors Connect podcast. Today we have Jamie Humphrey on, who is the Regional Director at Dell Technologies in Australia and New Zealand. And I don't have to explain what Dell is. Everyone knows that it's a massive company. Right here, even my monitor's Dell. So I think that explains it to you how big they are. And today I'm super duper excited to be talking to Jamie about Dell Technologies, a bit about his career, how he's got to this senior level and senior role, and the future of technology in general. So thank you so much, Jamie, again for meeting me.
Thank you so much for having me, Chloe. I'm really excited to be here.
Awesome. That's a good start to the podcast, I reckon. So Jamie, I wanted to get us started, obviously, as I mentioned before, at a very senior role at, massive company. How did you find your way here? What's your background?
I came from a non-IT background to start with, and sort of worked through a process in my younger career and started in IT in the user space, and then was given an opportunity back in 2004 to join Dell as a systems engineer and work through the process that way. And what I found was it was a very, what I would call, intoxicating culture. So it was a culture about wanting to learn, wanting to contribute. And soon I found that being in front of customers and invigorating partners and doing those sorts of things is what I found I was okay at. And then I started my trajectory around some leadership roles and then went from there. But it was quite ironic because I left Dell in 2015 and went and did some other ventures, but now have just recently rejoined. And I think that's a real credit to the company, that it wasn't because I had to rejoin, I wanted to rejoin. And that was really exciting for me.
Well, that's so cool. You've been with the company a long time and then being able to join back recently, in your role and be able to really make an impact. So I love that. So now I've got a few questions prepared, and
Sure.
The start is, Dell, they're innovators, they're leaders in technology, but how is technology going to shape the future even more for Dell as technology changes in the way it's used and perceived?
Yeah, look, I think the innovation around technology is definitely around the edge, and where we see services moving closer to the edge, and how, for us as consumers of technology ourselves in our personal and our professional lives, but it's more about the information. We want information on time, all the time, and wherever we are. So the more services go to the edge, and I think Dell's in a really strong position to ensure that not only the data is secure, but it's available in different formats. And I think that really is the key where we from my opinion, we take a real leadership perspective. And the amount of devices that are being created every year, I think you've got to have a conscious around how your supply chain and those sorts of things are working for you. So I think, it's all around the edge. I think that's a really innovative part of the market and really exciting.
No, that sounds pretty awesome. And now I wanted to go to a bit of like an innovative, exciting part of just like the way the world's going at the moment. That's sustainability. So I wanted to ask, how is sustainability impacting the way Dell works, think about things and problems?
Yeah, look, I think sustainability is, stabilizing disruptive relationships between Earth's two most complex entities, which is human culture and the living world. And from our point of view, Dell is looking at it from, I think around, sustainability in supply chain and how we look at waste, etc. The old way of doing it was sort of what they would class as the linear economy, is, take, make, use, dispose. And now we're looking at this new shape of around this circular economy, and which is more about make, use, return, recycle, reuse. And I think that shows where growth and value are decoupled from consumption to the finite resources and materials that, circulate within economies today. And I think that's where Dell's looking at sustainability in changing the way we look at design. I think that's the real big part here, and how you take that new concept of the circular economy and bring it into what they frame as circular design. And I think that's the exciting opportunity that Dell has got a leadership position in.
No, I like it. Circular economy, circular design. Love it. So now I want to just go a bit more broad and not just Dell, but looking at the overall technology sector. What is the future looking like for tech?
Oh, the future for tech is, look, for companies around this trajectory, advancing innovations, I think, is where we need to be at the forefront. And if you think about it, Chloe, it was only back in 2008, and I know it's a little while ago, but we're only looking at post-consumer plastic recycling back then. And when we look at tech innovation around this whole concept of circular design, over the years, we've seen things like reclaimed carbon fiber and recycled magnets and renewable bioplastic. But in 21, 22, we're looking at, how we drive closed loop aluminium recycling. So it's about that reuse and that ease of access in technology that allows us to repair and have access to those parts so we can reuse them and recycle them, where these systems were traditionally, once they were end of life, they were pretty well, you couldn't do anything with it except dispose it. So I think we've taken a real look at how we can reuse all the parts that we have, not only from a recycling nature, how we're using plastics and aluminums and magnets and those sorts of things to build these devices, etc. at the edge, but more about the ease of use and the ecosystem that gets created around them, so we can advance these technology practices that are coming into the industry now. And I think that's the real exciting part about it, right? We all want to live in a really cool planet, right? And we want to live in a planet where we can go wherever we are without fear of any side effects of human nature. So I think it's really exciting that especially a large company like Dell is really driving. We want to be a circular company, and that's our mission.
Yeah, no, before I conducted this interview, I did a bit of research on Dell and looked this all up on their website, and it's really cool to see. So I encourage you all to also have a look at what Dell's doing, because they're doing a lot of cool stuff. So now I wanted to talk a bit just about young people. What role do you think they will play, in the circular economy and circular design and technology?
The next generation of innovators. I think, the best thing about the generations coming through is they don't have any legacy thought process about something that was built 10, 15, 20 years ago, and it should stay that way. So I think the exciting thing is being able to untap that potential and look at how we can look at not only supply chain with sustainability, but also even in our own lives, about how we're managing our households, to how we're managing our vehicles, to how we manage our entertainment and those sorts of things. So I think the world is your oyster. And I think that's really cool. I think that's really, really cool.
No, and I also reckon, everyone that's watching, you have now the opportunity to talk to someone like Jamie, through the internet. So I think that's also pretty unique about our generation, isn't it?
It is. And I think it's really exciting that that people want to be connected. And I think that's the really thing that's driving this great thought bubble process, I call it. And it allows us to collaborate in a way where beforehand you might have had to have a really great idea to go and talk to someone. Now you can have 1,000 ideas and talk to everyone. And I think that's the real part of innovation that's coming through.
No, that's great. And I think before we finish up this awesome podcast episode, Jamie, I was hoping if you could give a piece of advice to perhaps, the tech innovators watching, or the hopefully tech leaders of the future.
Look, think big, but start small, right? And I think that's a really good way to get going. And it's okay to get comfortable sometimes being a little bit uncomfortable with your own thoughts, right? It really challenge yourself, challenge where you want to be, challenge who you are, and also challenge the norm. I think some of the things that maybe stifle a bit of innovation is the status quo. So we always believe in challenging the status quo. And I think if you can do that, you'll bring a lot to the world.
Well, that's awesome. Thank you so much, Jamie, for sharing that awesome piece of advice and talking to us today, sharing all of these amazing, cool insights. It's been so awesome.
Thank you so much, Chloe. I really enjoyed the time. Take care, everyone. Stay safe and enjoy life.